ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्र्यवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासम् शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मेधा देवी जुषमाणा न आगाद्विश्वाची भद्रा सुमनस्य माना त्वया जुष्टानुगमाना दुरुक्तान् बृहद्वदेम विदथे सुवीराः त्वया जुष्ट ऋषिर्भवति देवी त्वया ब्रह्मा गतः श्रीरुतत्वया त्वया जुष्टश्चित्रं विन्दते वसुसानो जुषस्वत्र विनो न मेधे मेधां महीन्द्रो ददातु मेधां देवी सरस्वती मेधां मे अश्विनावुभावा धत्तां पुष्करस्रजा अप्सरासु च या मेधा गन्धर्वेषु च यन्मनः दैवीं मेधा सरस्वती सा मां मेधा सुरभिर्जुषत स्वाहा आमा मेधा सुरभिर्विश्वरूपा हिरण्यवर्णा जगति जगम्या ऊर्जस्वती पयसा बिन्वमाना सा मां मेधा सुप्रतीकाजुषन्ताम् मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मय्यग्निस्तेजो दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयीन्द्र इन्द्रियं दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि सूर्यो भ्राजो दधातु हंस हंसाय विद्महे परमहंसाय धीमहि तन्नो हंसः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Ekadantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Dantih Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sri Sai Ram. Pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Lord Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba Varu. It is indeed a matter of great blessing, honor, and privilege for me today to once again invite all of you to this Gama ãgama lecture series being organized by Sri Sathya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni of the Sathya Sai Seva organization. Today, under this 28th episode on the Vedas, the very foundation of Indian culture and spirituality, we have yet another very noble, pious, and devout soul, Dr. V. Mohan, to share his enormous experience and knowledge on Vedas and Vedic knowledge and Upanishads. Is here with us. Few words about this great and humble soul, Dr. V. Mohan. Dr. V. Mohan has obtained his doctorate in Sanskrit from the University of Madras. He holds a postgraduate also in English and education. He has attended and presented many papers in various seminars and conferences. He has been very active for 4 decades of dedication as an academic, as a teacher, researcher, author, and Upanyasaka in Sanskrit and Tamil. He has published his Ph.D. thesis entitled Abdullah Carita by Lakshmipati, an important chronicle and analytical study on Mughal history in 2015. He has co-authored the 2nd and 3rd volumes of Upanishada Sindanaigal, a lucid explanation of Upanishads in Tamil. Another work in Tamil translation titled Mukthikku Vazhi, co-authored by Dr. Mohan, has been published by CPR Publications last year. He has recently published Uddava Gita in lucid Tamil, which was co-authored by him. Hailing from a traditional and orthodox family, Dr. V. Mohan has a great inclination towards spiritual pursuits. He is interested and has been giving spiritual discourses on various topics in Upanishads, works of Sankara Bhagavata Puranam, etc. He presented a paper titled Historical Kavyas in Sanskrit on Saint Tyagaraja in the 17th World Sanskrit Conference held at Vancouver, Canada in July 2018. And he has also presented a paper on many manifestations of women in the Mahabharata in the national seminar conducted by CPR Institute of Indological Research, Chennai in March 2019. Recently, he had presented a paper on Suchidram, its uniqueness and magnificence at 29th session of Indian Art History Congress conducted at Chennai in April 2022. Dr. Mohan served as a guru for Bal Vikas classes conducted by the Sathya Seva organization and participated in the two-day International Veda Conference in November 2017 at Puttaparthi conducted by Sri Sathya Seva organization, India. Presently, he is the Assistant Director and the Head Department of Classical Languages in the C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer Institute of Indological Research, Chennai. With such vast experience and devout service at the lotus feet of our Bhagavan for a very long time, he has generously come forward to share his Vedic wisdom with us. Welcome to Dr. V. Mohan, and now I hand it over to Dr. V. Mohan. Dr. V. Mohan, Sai Ram.
श्रुतं मे गोपाय
मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. Dear brothers and sisters of Sai-Fold, Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai. I deem it a great honor and privilege to share my thoughts with you all in this noble and divine venture, the Gama ãgama lecture series, and I convey my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers of this sacred task. Friends, to be frank with you, I am not a speaker but only a seeker in pursuit of knowledge and on self-realization. Swami is the only one speaker and we are all listeners in front of him. But Swami will be doubly happy if we not only listen to him but put his words into practice as well. To begin with, there are two famous quotes, one in Tamil, Anbe Sivam means love is God, and another one in Sanskrit, Paropakarartha idam sariram, meaning this body, that is our very existence in this world, is for the service of others. That is the basic fundamental code laid by Swami for us. Love all, serve all. Am I right, Sairam? There is a famous saying, Buddhiryasya balam tasya, meaning knowledge is power. So acquiring knowledge, that is to say right knowledge is important. This is very much mandatory to those in pursuit of spiritual enlightenment and Atmajnana. There is a mantra in Rig Veda, Ano Bhadraha Katavo Yantu Visvataha. Let noble thoughts come to us from every side, all the directions. Then, how can one gain knowledge and right path? There is a Namavali for Swami in Ashtotra, Om Shri Sai Sujnana Marga Darsakaya Namaha. That a guru plays a vital role in shaping a spiritual seeker to attain his goal. He transforms the raw mind into a cultivated and mature one, like an expert sculptor chisels a stone into a beautiful sculpture. He opens the eyes of the seeker that are rendered blind and closed by the darkness of ignorance, by the brush immersed in jnana. Says a prarthana sloka to Guru, Ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana salakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai sti gurave namaha. Even our scriptures say that one should seek a proper guru to achieve one's lakshya, and a guru also should wait upon and accept a deserving and interested disciple, says Taittiriya Upanishad. With this introduction, I would like to touch upon the subject matter to be introduced for today's lecture. Swami always used to enchant us with anecdotes and stories to drive his message and points. Swami is Katha Priya, Katha Vakta, and strikingly Katha Nayaka as well. The Upanishads too mostly teach us the highest knowledge and wisdom through conversations, dialogues, stories, and anecdotes. What is the basic requirement to acquire knowledge, and what are the hurdles? Let us see. The first indication that one is a real and sincere seeker is that only when one feels that I am ignorant, that aham ajnani, that is the first indication. In Maitreyi Upanishad, there is an incident wherein sage Maitreyi once goes to Kailasa and meets Lord Shiva. After offering salutations, sage Maitreyi pleads Lord to disclose him the secret of the highest truth regarding Atma Vidya, that is self-realization. Lord starts replies as following: Deho Devaleh Proktaha Jivo Devas Sanatanaha Tejet Ajnana Nirmalyam Soham Bhavena Pujayet. There is another Pathabeda, Deho Devaleh Proktaha Sajivaha Kevala Shivaha. This our Deha, the body is the God residing temple. And where is the God? Don't search for him anywhere outside. The Jiva or Prana in our body. To be very precise, the inner being Atman is the God. To realize him, what should one do? To discard the Nirmalya of Ajnana. And once you got rid of that Ajnana, your Viveka and the inner self will get activated, and you will realize that I am the Paramatma and he is within me. I and he are the one. Self-realization means the removal of the innate ignorance, and that is possible only by the awareness of the real self. Our Swami says in quotes, man is essentially divine. However, he believes himself to be an individual, limited and temporary, because he is entangled in the characteristics of the five elements, namely sound, touch, form, taste and smell. This error brings about joy and grief, good and bad, birth and death. To escape from this association with the elements, to rid oneself of the pulse of their characteristics, is the sign of liberation, called in Sanskrit as Kaivalya, Moksha or Mukti. Names may change, but the achievement is the same. Quote ends. See how simply Swami simply puts it there. One should know the things and act in the proper way. Pleading ignorance cannot be an excuse, says Bhagavan Krishna in Gita. Tasmat sastram pramanam te karya karya vyavasthito jnatva sastra vidanoktam karma kartum iharhasi. That Shastra, the Vedic, the holy scriptures are the authority in determining what to do, what we should perform, and wherefrom we have to refrain ourselves. Jnatva, very important word, Sairam. Jnatva, having known, you must know. Jnatva, karma kartum iharhasi. You deserve to perform the karmas, duties. How? Shastra vidanoktam, yatha vidhi, as specified in the scriptures. Dear friends, I began this talk with the importance of knowledge. One has to seek the right knowledge because Vedas proclaim jnana evatu kaivalyam. Then karma and upasana should be used as a ladder, that is sopana, to attain atmajnana and reach the goal. Again, our Swami says in quote, Jnana alone can grant self-realization. Dhyana, meditation, can confer concentration of the faculties. Through that concentration, jnana can be won even while in the body. Quote ends. The knowledge portion of the Vedas is known as Vedanta. Vedanta means not only they are the final portions, but Veda eva antaha, that is, Vedas are the ultimate authority in our system, Sanatana system. The triad, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita constitute the studies of Vedanta, and they are specifically called as Prasthanatrayi. The Upanishad portions of Veda are a part of Vedanta, and they deal mostly highlighting the ways and means of acquiring Atmajnana. Vedas have been divided in various ways. The two broad divisions of Vedas are Karmakanda and Jnanakanda. As the name itself suggests, Karmakanda deals with karma, ritualistic action, sacrifices, etc. The purpose being attainment of material prosperity here on earth while we live and felicity in heaven after death. The second portion, that is the Jnanakanda, is concerned with the knowledge. Again, as the name indicates, knowledge through which one can seek liberation from ignorance that would enable to realize the highest good through Paravidya. There is a sequence of steps or means of practice, sadhanas, that are outlined in the teachings of Vedanta and Jnana Yoga. They must be cultivated on the path to self-realization and form the foundation for deeper understanding and development. They are known technically as sadhana chatushtaya in prakaranas. They are viveka, discrimination of real from unreal; vairagya, detachment or dispassion from sense objects; samadhi shatka sampatti, a collective group of 6 behavioral traits; and mumukshatva, desire to achieve freedom from suffering, that is moksha. Now, let us see what are the traits meant by samadhi shakka sampatti. That is, they are also known as sixfold inner wealth. What are the 6? They are sama, mind control, that is, quietude of the mind or tranquility; dhamma, keeping the body and senses under control; uparati, stopping worldly actions, that is, withdrawing of the self from the worldly activities; titiksha, the attitude of forbearance and enduring the pair of opposites, that is dvandva, such as sukha, dukkha, gain, loss, victory and defeat. One should see that they are not affected by these dualities. Shraddha, unwavering faith in the sacred scriptures; and samadhana, focused or single-pointed concentration. In Mundaka Upanishad, the disciple Saunaka inquires sage Angirasa, revered sir, what is that by knowing of which all this becomes known? Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Angirasa replies, there are two different kinds of knowledge to be acquired, the higher and the lower knowledge, para and apara. Dve vidye veditavye iti hasma yad brahmavido vadanti paracha eva apara. The study of Vedas with their subsidiaries like Siksha, Chandas, Vyakarna, etc. form the Aparavidya, and by Paravidya it is explained that by which the immutable and the imperishable Atman is realized. That knowledge brings about the direct realization of the supreme reality, the source of all, for which the knowledge of the Upanishads is essential. Now, what does Upanishad means? The word Upanishad has many connotations. It has been derived from the root sad with the two prefixes upa and ni. Upa means near and ni down. The root sad, that is the dhatu, sad to sit. Thus, the meaning of the Upanishad is sitting down near. Groups of peoples sit near the teacher to learn the highest knowledge. The Atma Vidya, which when received from a competent teacher, loosens totally the bondage of the world and enables the peoples to realize the self by destroying ignorance that is responsible for deluding appearance of the infinite self. The root sad with the prefix upa also connotes the humility with which the people should approach the teacher. The seers also adopt a certain discretion in communicating the truth. To sum up in simple terms, Upanishad means seeking the right knowledge. If the ideas of the Upanishads help us to rise above the glamour of the worldly materialistic life, it is because their authors, pure of soul, ever striving towards the divine, revealed us the pictures of the splendors of the unseen. The Upanishads are respected not just because they are a part of Shruti, Vedas, but they have inspired generations of Bharatiyas with vision and strength by their inexhaustible significance and spiritual power. Though the total number of Upanishads may vary, normally we say that there are 108 Upanishads. The first 10 or dozen among them are the oldest and most important, and they are considered as the principal or main Upanishads, Mukhya Upanishads. These Upanishads are mainly present in the concluding parts of Brahmanas and Aranyaka's of their respective Vedas. To remember these Mukhya Upanishad, there is a sloka, Isakena Katah Prasna, Munda Mandukya Titiraha, Aitariyam Cha Chandogyam, Brihadaranyakam Tatha. All the four Mahavakyas, Prajnanam Brahma, Ayamatma Brahma, Tattvamasi and Aham Brahmasi, have been taken from the Upanishads. In fact, one Vakya from each Veda has been taken to illustrate the central and core point of the Atma Tattva. Even a few other Vakyas also considered as Mahavakyas, but normally these four are called as Mahavakyas. The famous Pavamana Abhyaroha mantra that we know very well, the prayer which we chant very frequently, Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, is also from Upanishads only. Upanishads embody the accumulated wisdom of centuries, and that they preach the spiritual unity of mankind. Thus, Upanishads play a vital role in acquiring Brahmajnana. Now, let us see a few important aspects from the Upanishads that reflect the higher wisdom. In Chandogya Upanishad, we have the famous story of Satyagama the way in which he approached sage Gautama and gained wisdom because of his truthfulness. He followed his mother's words when he introduces himself to sage Gautama. Gautama gives him 400 cows that are weak and lean and sends him on a mission. Satyakama promised that he would make them strong and robust and that he would return only when the number of cows become 1,000. While grazing the cows in the forest, Satyakama learned many things from nature, from a bull, the fire, a swan and a diver bird, and thus he gets complete knowledge of the 4 quarters of Brahman bit by bit from 4 days. Excuse me, Sarah. There is a Subhashita, Chanasaha Kanasaschaiva Vidyamartam cha Sakyet. On his return, his guru Gautama remarks, Brahmavadiva Saumya Bhasi Konutva Anusasasa iti. My dear, you shine like the one knowing Brahman who has taught you. Satyakama replies, Anye Manushyebhyaha itihe Pratijagye Bhagavadus Tvaveva Kame Bruyat iti. Others than men, that I learned these things not from human beings, from other natural things. But still I wish, revered sir, that you teach me. Gautama was very much pleased and teaches him a lot, including the Brahma Vidya. Sairam, truthfulness and great Guru Bhakti will give everything to a sadhaka. And further, this episode shows that though one must learn from competent gurus, one can learn from other things as well. In the 11th skanda of Bhagavata Puranam, wherein the Uddava Gita is being described, that is Lord Krishna's Upadesa to Uddhava, as he is doing to Arjuna in the Mahabharata. For Uddhava he gives sermons. Therein a portion called Bhikshu Gita is found. The Bhikshu says that he had learned various things from 24 gurus like bee, snake, elephant, deer, etc. Now, why Atmajnana is necessary? There is an interesting episode from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Sage Yajnavalkya had 2 wives, Maitreyi and Katyayini. Of these 2, Maitreyi was a Brahmavadini, conversant with discussions on Brahman, while Katyayini was adept in household duties. Intending to renounce the Grihasthashrama and to embrace the monastic life, Sage Yajnavalkya expresses his desire to make a settlement between his wives before his departure. Now, listen to the conversation between Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi. Maitreyi is asking, respected sir, if indeed the entire earth full of wealth belongs to me, shall I become immortal? Yajnavalkya replies, no, you can have a life enriched with abundance of objects, but there is no hope for immortality by wealth. Then Maitreyi, saying that if the material prosperity would not make her immortal, she has no desire for it and pleads to Yajnavalkya to tell her the means of attaining immortality. I will just give you the gist and a glimpse of his Upadesa, which is a larger one, as a gist. Spouse, that is husband or wife, children, others, gods, Vedas, and nay, even animals are not dear to a person just because of their face value or position. He is my husband, wife, etc. But they are dear because of the self, that is the Atma that resides in them. He emphatically says that all are dear, not for the sake of all, but for the sake of self, that all are dear. Further, the sage says that the self should first be realized by being first heard of from teachers and scriptures, then reflected on and meditated upon. Then one can realize that there is nothing other than self. Sage Yajnavalkya says, Atma va are drashtavya, sotavyo, mantavyo, nididhyasitavyo, Maitreyi, Atmano va are darsanena, stravanena, matya, vijnanena, edagam sarvam viditam. That this conversation implies the purport of the Mahavakya, I am Atma Brahma. That is from Mandukya Upanishad. Moreover, with regard to the query of attaining immortality of Maitreya, Isavasya Upanishad gives the solution saying, Avidyaya mrityum tirtva, vidyaya amrutam asnute. Here, vidyaya by Adi Shankara comments, vidyaya devata jnanena amrutam devata atma bhavam asnute. One gets. To emphasize the above point, I would like to draw to your kind attention to another episode, the episode between sage Uddalaka and Swetaketu, which is in the 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad. That incident is an eye-opener for all those who are in pursuit of self-realization. The story of the father and son is for the purpose of showing the gravity of the philosophy and to show that the self in all is one. Swetaketu, the son, at the age of 12, has been sent to Gurukula to learn Vedas and Shastras. After mastering the Vidyas, he returns home after 12 years when he was 24 years old. He thought that he had become fully learned. This thought gave him not only pride but arrogance as well. Uddalaka wanted to teach him the proper manners and asked him, O Swetaketu, since you are now greatly conceited, think yourself well-read and arrogant, did you ask for that instruction by which the Supreme Brahman can be comprehended only by means of instruction, by which the unheard becomes heard, the unperceived becomes perceived, and the unknown becomes known? What is signified by the story is that even after one has read all the Vedas and Shastras and becomes a scholar, if one does not know the truth with regard to the self, his ends are still unaccomplished and he cannot achieve his final goal. Swetaketu now asks, how can there be such instruction? Uddalaka now gives 3 examples. Moreover, Swetaketu says, if my Guru knew these things, they would have taught me. But Uddalaka now gives him 3 examples. Just as a single clod of clay, all that is made up of clay becomes known. The modification and shapes and names of objects may differ, like a pot, a jar, etc., etc. But truth being that all is clay. And just by a single nugget of gold, all that is made up of gold becomes known. All modification being only by name based on words, chain, ring, bracelet, etc., etc. The truth being that all is gold. No one is going to a jewelry shop and ask for a brass metal siram. And just by a single pair of nail scissors, all that is made up of iron becomes known. All modification variation being only a name based upon words. And the truth that all this is iron. The sage further goes on to teach him and makes him to understand about the self. Dear friends, please listen to this another interesting conversation, the dialogue between sage Uddalaka and his Swetaketu. There are many dialogues. The 6th chapter of Brihadaranyaka whole divided to the Swetaketu and Uddalaka only. I am just giving you one example for the context sake. Uddalaka wants to teach that the subtle essence that is residing inside is considered as Atma, and it is not different than the existing one. To illustrate this point, Uddalaka initiates a dialogue and teaches him through an illustration. Now, the sage Uddalaka asks his son, "Son, bring a banyan fruit." Swetaketu and goes and shows, "Here it is, sir." Now Uddalaka asks him to cut it up. Swetaketu is doing so and telling, "Sir, I have cut it up." Now Uddalaka is asking, "What do you see here?" Shvetaketu replies, these quite tiny seeds, sir. Now Uddalaka says, take one of them and cut it again. Now Shvetaketu doing so, now showing it to his father. I have cut it up, sir. Now Uddalaka is asking, what do you see there? Shvetaketu replies, nothing, sir, I don't see anything. Then Uddalaka tells, this finest essence here, son, that you can't even see with your eyes. And he is showing a big banyan tree there. And look how on account of that finest essence, this huge banyan tree stands here. Uddalaka explains to him further the subtlety of the self pervading everywhere by asking him to put the saw, and he gives one more chance to him. He asks him to put the salt in water and asking him to come the next morning. And then when he comes, he asks him to identify it separately. In the same way, he teaches, as you cannot separate these things, believe my son, the finest essence here that constitutes the self of this whole world, that is the truth, that is the self, Atman, and that is how you are, Shvetaketu. Atman is not transient, but unchanging on all the states. On all the states, and it is also Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. The Brahma is Satyam, everlasting truth. Jnanam, it is knowledgeful. And Anantam, it is infinite. And in all the states, it never changes. This example, the most graphic expression of Atman as the knowing subject, persisting without change through the states of Jagrat, Swapna and Susupti, that is in the states of waking, dreaming and deep sleep respectively, and in death, rebirth and the final liberation of the soul, is beautifully brought out through the conversation between King Janaka and Yajnavalkya. A fine analogy is introduced there. Now, a fine analogy is introduced in the Kathopanishad to explain the relationship between the individual self, the mind, the intellect and the body. This is a beautiful analogy, Saira. A very famous one also. You must have heard about this. The Yama explains this Atmajnana, this imparts the Atmajnana to the young Nachiketas. And here he says about the relationships of these things. Atmanam ratinam viddhi, sariram ratamevatu, buddhim tu saratim viddhi, manaha pragraham evacha. Consider the soul, the Atma, as the master of the chariot, the body, Sarira, as the chariot. And who is the charioteer? The intellect, Buddhi, as the charioteer. And what are the reins? The mind is the reins. Further, he continues, Indriyani hayan ahuhu, Vishayan steshu gocharan, Atmendriya manoyuktam, Bhokta ityahur manishinaha. If the body is a chariot, it has to have horses to pull it along. Is it not? So the senses are the horses. Here the comparison is apt because as the horses are restless, so are the senses. Objects of pleasure, that is sounds, the forms, etc., are like roads for the horses. The self here is Jiva, the individual self. And in the long run, it is the same as the cosmic self, that is the Hiranyagarbha. Together with the body and mind and sense is the enjoyer. Now, the intellect acting as the charioteer, which is incapable discriminating between right and wrong and connected with an uncontrolled mind. It is like a charioteer who has to deal with uncontrollable vicious horses. Such a person can never attain self-knowledge. On the other hand, when a person has a discriminating intellect and has well-trained horses to handle, such a person can control and direct his senses in the right path. He attains the highest goal, union with the cosmic self. Mind, the manas, is very important point of center in our body, Sara, because it is very difficult to keep it under one's control. Brahma Bindu Upanishad says, Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam Bandhamokshayoho Bandhya Vishayasaktam Mukti Nirvishayam Smritam. Without going for the verbatim explanation, I will give you a quote of the gist. This mantra as said by Ramana Maharshi in quotes. The mind is the outgoing faculty of the individual. If that is turned within, it becomes still in course of time, and that in caps I am alone prevails. Moving on further about the other contents of Upanishads and the way in which the seers convey the greater matters in a succinct manner, I give below the following episode. Just by a single letter the three cardinal virtues of Dhamyata, Datta and Dayadvam, restrain yourself, give and be compassionate, is beautifully brought out in the episode involving Prajapati and his threefold offsprings, Deva, Manushya and Asuras. It is further said that the same thing does the divine voice here, thunder, repeat, the. One should practice the same triad, self-restraint, giving and compassion. Do you think that they exist in different entities? No. In an indirect way, it reveals the nature of three gunas present in a single individual and the lesson one has to learn from them and how to control them under his control. Thus, Upanishads contain the episodes of Nachiketas, the parables of Janastuti and Raivaka, Narada and Sanatkumara, dialogue between Yagyavalkya and Aswala, Gargi, Janaka, Ushasta, Gautama, dialogue between Balaki and Ajatasatru, the Upadesa of sage Pippalada to 6 disciples, and many more. All these reveal the highest wisdom and knowledge. I have referred to here only a hint of the significance of Upanishads, like the episodes mentioned above. Lots of scholarly conversations between enlightened souls take place. Enriched and sagacious lights of wisdom shed on various subtle things in Upanishads. It is for the sadhaka to seek an appropriate guru and learn from him sincerely with utmost faith. Bhagavad Gita says, Shraddhavan lapate jnanam. As long as a person engulfed with the traits like ego, desire, anger, etc., he will be in the guise of Maya and he cannot achieve realization. Once a worried person asked our Bhagavan, Swami, I want peace, for which Swami smilingly replied in his humorous manner, Arre, you ask for peace, Santi, without shedding your ego representing I and desire representing what? Then how will you get peace? I want peace antavu, I ahankaramu, want నీతోటి డిజైర్ చూపిస్తుంది, తర్వాత నీకు పీస్ ఎక్కడ వచ్చేది, PIECE వస్తుంది. అట్లా నేను సారాం, how the teachings of Upanishads are being taught us in the simplest way by your Swami beautifully. In the final chapter of the Upanishad Vahini, Swami very clearly enumerates the hurdles in the path of a sadhaka to reach one's goal. Swami's words in quotation, there are 3 obstacles in the path of the seeker after Atmajnana. Obstacles of the past, the present and the future. These must be overcome. The Jivan Mukta is not worried over these. He has gone beyond the triple distinction of the seer, seen and the light. In Lalita Sahasranama, the Ambal, Mother Ambal is meditated upon as Dhyana, Dhyatru and Dhyaya Rupa. He has known that the distinction is artificial, a product of the mind. Once you have conquered the triple illusion of Triputi or Tapatraya, that is the integral unity reality of the world, God and man, that is Adhyatmika, Adidaivika and Adibhautika, you will experience Brahman in all things at all times. Quotients. Then, how can one become a Jivan Mukta? Adi Shankara says, one can be a Jivan Mukta, that is, obtain moksha when he is very much alive, if he leads a life of righteousness and see the Brahma is real, here the Parabrahma, and everything else is engulfed in Maya, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Dear friends, I would like to narrate this episode, rather a not much known story, but with a thought-provoking lesson, message. The story runs like this. It was a forest precinct with beautiful and serene atmosphere. Trees touching the sky, creepers and plants looking pleasant with blossoming flowers dancing in the winds, birds chirping, singing and moving in glee. And the area is filled with the sages living quietly with wives and children. There was a small and good-looking hut. At the entrance of the hut, a Brahmin boy, the disciple of the sage inside, was sitting. He was on his feet when the Guru was walking out of the house. The Guru's appearance itself indicates that he was a great seer. His wife, who was pregnant, expecting her child, was lying down inside. The sage was happy that his long penance and austerity is going to be fructified quite soon. He said to his disciple, "My dear boy, Guruma is sleeping. She may develop labor pain at any time. I will return soon after performing ablutions. Take care of your Guruma. Don't allow anyone inside." Having instructed him thus, the sage treaded towards the river bank fast. It was destined that after some time, the lady developed labor pains. The boy was perplexed and much agitated. At that time, a very elderly, divine-looking man, holding something like a writing reed in his hand, tried to enter the hut. Then the boy stopped him, explained the instruction given by his Guru. The divine person was quite taken aback and inquired the boy whether he could see him. The boy replied in affirmative and said that is why he is blocking his entry. Now the divine person says to the boy that he was really fortunate and blessed, and that is why he was able to see him in the physical form. The boy now inquires about the person. Now the divine person replies, "My dear boy, I am the Brahma, the Vidhata. I must go now inside compulsorily." When asked for the reason, Brahma replied that his Guru Patni is going to deliver of a boy within seconds, and that he had to write the destiny of the newborn infant immediately on his birth. The boy asked him whether he would know that what he was going to write. Brahma replied that he did not know, but as soon as he keeps the writing reed on the head, his destiny would be written. Again now this boy is asking at least whether after writing would Brahma come to know what was written, for which Brahma replied positive. Now the boy said that he could allow him to go inside, but with a condition that Brahma should disclose what he would write on the baby. Appreciating the cleverness of the boy, Brahma accepted to his condition and went inside. Within seconds, an infant's crying was heard from inside. On his coming out, Brahma informed that a baby boy was born. He would live long, but for his livelihood, he would have only one cow and a bag of paddy only. Then saying so, Brahma disappeared. The sage returned after some time. He was very happy on becoming a father to baby boy. The Shishya, after slight reluctance, narrated the events, the arrival of Brahma, etc., to his Guru. The sage, on seeing the beauty and radiance in the child's face, named him Ati Rupan and nurtured him well. After some time, Guru Patni breathed her last when the boy was quite young, and the sage took good care of his son. He performed Upanayana Samskara to this boy and taught him Vedas and Shastras. Atirupan grew very intelligent like Nachiketas and very fond of his father. When the sage foresaw his nearing end, he called his son close to him and disclosed the details of his destiny as ordained by Brahma when he was born and passed away. Atirupan performed the obsequies and rituals to his father. Under the situation that his future and life lies with him, he slept that night free from worries and without any deep thoughts. Next morning, when he woke up, he found with a little astonishment a bag full of paddy and a cow at the backyard of the hut. He remembered his father's word that a cow and a bag of paddy were the source of sustenance for his life. He closed his eyes for some time and meditated for some time. All of a sudden, he got up, drew milk from the cow and drank to his content and gave away the remaining milk to the needy people. Sairam, then do you know what he did? He gave away the only cow also as a dana to a deserving person. In the same manner, he converted the paddy into rice, kept whatever necessary for him for the day, and donated the remaining lot to others. Night came, he thanked the God for the day and slept peacefully. When he woke up in the next morning, he found a cow and a bag of paddy as the previous day. He did same as he did the previous day, the dana of milk, cow and rice. This kind act of his charity was going on for many number of days. Then on one night, Athirupan, now he grew curious and wanted to know how this miracle happens every day. Next morning, he heard some noise at the backyard in the Brahma Muhurta. He woke up fast and rushed there and saw that two divine-looking people started moving after keeping a cow and a paddy bag. He goes near and asks about their identity and asks the reason for leaving the cow and paddy every day. The divine persons, initially they were taken aback on hearing the boy's words because they were to be invisible to human beings. They replied to him that he was really a blessed and noble soul. They said that they are from the Brahma Loka and that they were the assistants of Brahma. Further, they had told him that according to the determination of the Brahma, he had a long life and that a cow and a bag full of paddy only were the amenities for his whole life sustenance. Any other common man would have become worried on how he could manage his entire life with just a cow and a paddy bag. But noble and wise you are, thinking very positively that long life has been apportioned to me by the God, and it is his duty to take care of me. Why should I worry about tomorrow? You give away everything as dana to others. Hence, it has become the duty of Vidhata, the Brahma, to take care of your needs. That is why, as per his instructions, a cow and a bag of paddy has been given to you through us. A person is regarded high as a punyatma, a great soul and gem among the human beings, if he is altruistic and lives for others. You are a blessed soul. Let all the auspiciousness adorn you. Having said so, blessed him, the divine persons disappeared. Athirupan thanked Bhagavan, continued his deed of generosity, and finally attained moksha. Sairam, don't you think that our Swami Sathya also expects of this kind of benevolence from all of us? Swami says, Paropakarartham idam sariram. The story of Athirupan has a central core of humane principle and basis for the elevation of our soul, paving way for self-realization. The Rig Veda says, he who takes food without offering to others invite death. In his own words, Swami proclaims, in Sai, S-A-I, S stands for Sai, A for and, I for the sadhaka himself, the individual. Thus, Sai symbolizes one of the Mahavakyas, Tattvamasi, that thou art that. Sairam, before I conclude my talk, please kindly permit me to quote this wonderful explanation, Atma Tattva, by Adi Shankara in just a single sloka, Atma Swarupa Katanam. Shankara says, Kim Jyotihi tava bhanuman ahanime ratro pradeepadikam Syadevam rabideepa darsana vidhau Kim Jyoti rakya hime Chaktustasya nivilinadi samaye Kim Dirdhiyo darsane Kim tatrahamato bhavan paramakam Jyotis tadasmit prabho. Now, I will put this in a dialogue form and the explanation follows. Guru is asking the Sishya, what provides you with light? Shishya replies, by day the sun and by night a lamp. Guru, what is the light that sees these lights? The eyes. What is the light that illumines the eye? The intellect. Now Guru is asking, what is that known as the intellect? It is the eye. Therefore, you are the light of lights. And Shishya says, truly I am that. I realize that I am. Is it your light that shines in the day as the sun and as the bright lamp in the night? Let it be. Which light shines when I close my eyes? In mental vision. Which light illumines in my intellectual perception? You are that supreme light that illumines the awareness of aham, and I am that light. In short, that thou art or aham brahmasmi. Swami says about studying, teaching Atma Tattva, in quotes, the Atma is like ocean to instruct a person about it. To instruct a person about it, you need not ask him to drink the entire ocean. A single drop placed on the tongue will give him the needed knowledge. So too, if you desire to know the Upanishad, you not follow every mantra. Learn and experience the implication of one mantra. You can realize the goal without fail. Learn and practice. And Swami says, learn to practice. That is the secret of the teaching. Audience, let us strive to condition ourselves in the righteous path and pray to our Swami to guide us in the right direction, because this human birth is a golden opportunity for us to become enlightened souls. With the words of Adi Shankara, I just end my talk. He says, getting a human birth is very difficult. Jantunam narajarma durlabam. And even after getting a human form, one will not get the inclination towards the spiritual path and the power of viveka, the discretion to comprehend the real from the unreal, without the accumulation of punya by good deeds in hundreds of crores of birth. Satakoti janma satairapi. Further, he asserts that three things in this world are very difficult to obtain, and they can be obtained only with Daiva Anugraha. The grace of the Lord. They are getting a human birth, desiring moksha through self-realization, and the association with great and learned seers. Durlabam trayameva yetat Deva Anugraha hetukam Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam Mahapurusha Samstayaha. A famous sloka says, as a palastuti of learning this Brahma Vidya, Kulam Pavitram Janani Kritakritya Vasundara Punyavati Chatena Apara Satchit Sukha Sagaresmin Leenam Pare Brahmani Yasya Chetaha. His Kulam, his clan family, whole Vamsa becomes holy. His mother is gratified on getting him as a son. Even the earth, Vasundara, which bears him, feels she is virtuous Punyavati by the one whose mind is immersed in the infinite bliss of the Supreme Self, that is Satchitananda Sagara. With these few thoughts, Sairam, I conclude my talk, and let us all try to strive to become the enlightened souls with the guidance and blessings of our Swami. Om Sairam. Sahana bhavatu, sahano bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvina vadhitamastu ma vipvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Sairam. Thank you.
Om Sri Sai Ram. Pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Lord, Bhagawan Sri Sathya Baba Varu. At the very outset, it is a matter of great blessing, honor and privilege for me to thank Dr. V. Mohan on behalf of all the participants and on behalf of Sri Sathya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni of Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization India for such an profound and eloquent talk filled with Vedic wisdom which he has acquired over several years of penance and service at the lotus feet of our dear Lord Sai. Sir, your talk is like a guided tour to some of the important messages for life and spiritual growth from various Upanishads and Vedic scriptures. Sir, you have started on a highly inspirational note with a set of convincing quotes like Anbe Shivam, love all and serve all, knowledge is power, Anu Bhadrah Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha, stating that let the noble thoughts come from everywhere, and pointed out that it is the grace and the blessing of Sujnana Marga Darshaka, our dear Lord Sai, that will help us to gain such an ennobling Vedic knowledge. Here, you have also told us about the importance of Guru in transforming our mind and also connected us with the prarthana for invoking the blessings of Guru. Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakya, and goes on. Then you started the wonderful tour to different Upanishadic messages conveyed to us in the form of dialogues, anecdotes, stories, and episodes. You had quickly recalled some of the profound details from Upanishads such as Maitreya, Mandukya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, Isavasa, Katopanishad, Brahmabindu, Upanishad Vahini, etc., and aptly interface these messages with the messages of our Bhagavan, messages from Prasthanatrayi, that is the triad consisting of Brahma Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, and Upanishads, messages from Sri Adi Shankara, Sri Ramana Maharshi, and Lalita Sahasranamam, etc. Let me quickly recall some of the important messages which you have very carefully, thoughtfully, and generously shared with us with great love and enthusiasm. From the dialogue between sage Maitreya and Lord Shiva, as stated in Maitreya Upanishad, the first requirement for acquiring the divine knowledge is to identify and accept our ajnana. If all ajnana is removed, then man becomes God. Aham Brahmasmi. Self-realization amounts to removal of this innate ignorance in us. You brought in our Swami's message on Kaivalya or Mukti or Moksha as freeing oneself from the entanglements due to 5 elements: sound, touch, smell, form, and taste, and connected it with Sri Krishna's message in Bhagavad Gita that karma and upasana as sopana or ladder for attaining such a knowledge. Then you took us to Prasthanatrayi and touched upon the Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. Here you aptly reminded us on the sequence of steps as outlined in Vedanta and Jnana Yoga as the path for self-realization, consisting of Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi Sharka Sampatti, Mumukshatvam, and further went on to elaborate the 6 traits under Samadhi Sharka Sampatti as Shama, Dama, Upariti, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. Later, you took us to Mandukya Upanishad through the dialogue between sage Angirasa and his disciple Shaunaka on Paravidya and Aparavidya. You elaborated on many meanings of Upanishad, which are essentially the concluding parts of Brahmanas and Aranyakas of different Vedas. Later, sir, you are focused on the messages from the 10 of the most cited Upanishads and the 4 Mahavakyas. Some important aspects which you had given us are from the Chandogya Upanishad. You took us to the story of sage Gautama and his devout disciple Satyakama Jabala, and through this story you highlighted the fruits gained by truthfulness and Guru Bhakti, and also mentioned that one can also learn from others blessed by divine energy like nature. Nature is the best teacher. Here you rightly recalled Bhikshu Gita from Bhagavata Puranam, which tells and talks about 24 different gurus like bee, snake, elephant, ant, deer, etc. Next, through the dialogue between sage Yajnavalkya and his wife Maitreyi, as stated in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, you convey to us the importance of Atma Jnana. Here, you have recalled that all are dear for the sake of self, and there is nothing more greater than self-realization. You have also connected the query of Maitreyi with the Mahavakya Ayamatma Brahma from the Mandukya Upanishad and Vidya Amrutamastuthe message from Isavashopanishad. Through the dialogue between sage Uddalaka and his disciple Shvetaketu from the Chandogya Upanishad, you reminded us that even if one had read all Shastras and Vedas but is unable to know self, then his education is incomplete. You cited the example given by sage Uddalaka on how a mold of clay, a nugget of gold, and a lump of iron is the very base in different articles that we come across in our daily life to drive home the point that self is pervading everywhere. You have also mentioned about 2 important illustrations from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad dealing with the seed of a banyan tree and salt in water to give an idea on the subtlety of self and its all-pervasive nature. You have also explained to us that Atman is unchanging through the conversations of Janaka and Yajnavalkya. Further, you went on to narrate to us on the Atma Jnana message from Lord Yama to young Nachiketa as recorded in Kathopanishad through the analogy of body as chariot, intellect as buddhi, mind as reins, and indriyas as horses. Here, you aptly connected the message from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad that Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Mokshayo, and that from Sri Sri Ramana Maharshi that if mind is turned inwards, it will become still in course of time. Next, you took us to the message, to the important message, like 3 cardinal virtues contained in the syllable Da: Damyata, Datta, and Daivatva. Your powerful lecture attempted to give a quick glimpse at the tip of the iceberg called Upanishadic message to gain interest, to gain at least an iota of interest in such divine wisdom. As Bhagavad Gita says, Shraddha is very, very important. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. To get such Shraddha, one has to be free from ego. Here, you took us to Swami's message on the way to get peace is to remove ego and desire. Remove I and want from I want peace, and you get peace. Further, you also took us to the Upanishad Vahini's message that the 3 obstacles on a sadhaka's path to Atmajnana lies in dealing with past, present, and future, seen, seer, and light, dhyana, dhyatru, dhye rupa, as mentioned in Sri Lalita Sahasranamam. Again, here you connected it to the message of Sri Adi Shankara that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, acceptance with understanding, is an essential prerequisite for Jivana Mukti. Through the Upanishadic episode on Atirupan, you elaborated on a seemingly simple way for realization and highlighted the importance of Paropakarartam Idam Shariram. Sir, next you elaborated on the meaning of Sai as told by our dear Lord Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba Varu. That is nothing but Tattvamasi. Sai is essentially a Mahavakya. Tattvamasi, thou art that. Here again, you aptly brought in the message from Atma Swarupa Kathanam of Sri Adi Shankaracharya to reiterate the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. After having taken us through such vast Vedic knowledge, which even through this 1 hour just serves as a quick glimpse at a single point on the tip of the iceberg, you did not let us lose the courage and the hope by quickly and thoughtfully bringing in Swami's message that though Atmic knowledge is vast like an ocean, a single drop placed on the tongue gives the needed knowledge. Just by learning and experience the power of one mantra is enough to realize the goal without fail, just as Ramanama has lifted Angulimala to Valmiki. Finally, sir, you concluded your profound talk with the message from Sri Adi Shankara that this human life is a golden opportunity, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham, which one is blessed with due to Shatakoti Janma Shatairapi Punya Karmani, due to the good deeds in hundreds of crores of births. You also mentioned that 3 things which are difficult but are very important to obtain are human birth, desire for moksha, and association with great and learned seers. Finally, you also gave us the idea and the phala from such Brahma Vidya as one's kulam, whole vamsa, one's own Janani, mother, Mother Earth become gratified and get immersed in Sachidananda Sagara for begetting such a person who is seeking Brahmajnana. And one will live in unison with joy as elaborated in the mantra Sahanavavatu. Sir, I once again thank you on behalf of all the participants for generously sharing such a knowledge which you have obtained through the penance for several years and interfacing it with several different messages from various sources in a very apt manner to drive home the points. We pray to Bhagavan that he should immensely bless you and your family to carry forward with enormous energy and to serve him in the manner that you have been dutifully doing. Om Sri Sai Ram.
ओम जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ओम जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपकान्धवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे माता पिता गुरुदैवमु मरियन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरियन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्रशयन ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगल आरती अंधुको मंगल आरती अंधुको मंदर गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो सुखिनो भवन्तु। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की